fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up the
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
It's very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
To the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing!
Race lead to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside, and Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though.
Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Renner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schumacher, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
It's an old school track with an old school feel. And with these McLaren MP430s, we're in for a real treat today. Watkins Glen, it's upstate New York. And we are here for some brilliant sim racing action. Round 10 of 12. It's crunch time here in the iRacing Grand Prix Series, brought to you by SimSpeed TV. And if you haven't already, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe for more amazing content brought to you on the weekly by SimSpeed TV's productions as well. My name's Jake Sperry. I'm joined alongside by Cameron Dance here in the commentary box. Scott Fountain, Fonty on the cameras here today. And this is about big points central. A few surprising names up and down the order, a bigger amount of drivers or a larger amount of drivers here today. And we expect this one to be a little bit different. John Miller III is fastest at the moment in qualifying right now with half of the 8-minute session already put underneath. But we focus on Matt Wood right now, heading through the toe of the boot.
Yeah, certainly. There's a few drivers that we haven't seen out here all season long, so it's really going to shake this field up. And so far, it's already been shaken up with the fact that you've got John Miller 3 on pole provisionally anyway. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and a few others down the order that we wouldn't typically expect to be down the order. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But certainly we'll see whether Matt Wood can put himself up towards the front of the field and whether he can put himself on the front row. Michi Kaiser, though, coming down towards the start of the boot, currently sitting in second at the moment. He's going to be on his way to try and do this lap here, but probably not quite going to be able to do it. But we'll see what happens. Harvey Rose sitting P18 at the moment, currently not set of rips in him lap time, but we'll have to see what he can do and whether he can put himself on pole here.
But somehow he does come into this one with the championship lead by nearly 100 plus points, nearly 200 points at this stage. He's had a really good season, but look at this. Gets a huge amount of grass on the exit and puts a 16-1 to jump to the front row. But John Miller III's gone even quicker, 16 flat his time there, and 0.53, enough to do well. Now, what about Daniel Bieder here going through the final corner? He's half a second off the pace right now. He's behind Cedric Beal. Klaus Siemens he'd like to get past as well, and a 16.511 is good enough to jump ahead of Siemens and up into 7th position right now. So your top 6 here as things stands: Miller III, Rose Kaiser, Augusto, Wood, and Volstra in 6th place. It's a who's who, and this track is all about high speed. You do not have many places to catch a break around here today.
Yeah, certainly. And with it being the classic cloud as well, draft is going to be very, very key, especially on the way down to the carousel. And then going to be a matter of who's got the biggest balls, really, of who wants to try and go around the outside and who wants to send it up the inside. So, going to be looking forward to it, seeing what sort of race it's going to be, because it's an absolutely awesome layout. And the track naturally provides really, really good racing, as we've seen in the past. So, it's anybody's guess as to who's going to be coming away with this one.
We're just keeping an eye on Jacob Swiderski's time. He's down in 17th position here at this stage. A couple of drivers yet to set times. Matteo Ugolotti, driver number 1 in this field in terms of iRacing. He's certainly hoping for a good result here today, as he will look to make a charge over towards the line. And he crosses over and does himself a 15.9 at the right time to put an extra tenth and a bit over everybody else. So Ugolotti's first showcase this season with SimSpeed TV, and he has found exactly what he wants. Thomas Bartosic out there on track is just in the fringes of being able to set a time. Connor Harrington now up into 11th position with those. But Ugolotti puts a spanner in the works to all of these drivers here today, because if someone like Ugolotti's turned up to the party, that's less points for those in the championship, which is advantage Javi Rose.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an absolutely amazing time that he's managed to do that and be that far clear of the field. So it just goes to show he's got plenty of speed underneath him at the moment. And it's just going to be a matter of pulling away from the field if he can and defending, but certainly is going to be in favor of Javi Rose with the fact that there's going to be a little bit of point stealing going on today.
And this is another point of contention here, Cam. This is a tough circuit to break away from 1 second and the drag reduction system, the DRS, that these cars have, mainly because there are so many straights where you can get that opportunity to just draft on in at the rate of half a second each lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially down that back straight on the way down to the carousel as well, where it's so long. You've got that run from all the way from turn 1 all the way to the carousel, just to make that up and draft. And it's going to be a ridiculously large amount of draft and a lot of speed to be carried up there as well. So, yeah, it's going to be just a matter of using your head and timing your moves right.
And timing of moves is one thing, but the session comes to a close. So we'll go down through your starting grid here today at Watkins Glen. For those who are watching morning, noon and night, this is where sim racing gets interesting. Matteo Ugolotti then is on pole position, the Italian, with John Miller III alongside him from Club Mid-South. Javi Rose, the championship leader, starts third with Michi Kaiser, who's got an extra race in the bank at this moment to try and score some points. Renato Augusto from Brazil starts 5th with Matt Wood in 6th position. Tom Bolstra is 2nd in the championship. He starts 7th today with Daniel Bieder in 8th place, and Klaus Siemet and Cedric Beal round out the top 10.
And you're going to have Connor Harrington and Nathan Parkinson on the following row in row 6. Kent Nielsen and Dan Buffton, row 7. Luke Goulding and Harrison Bingham on row 8. And row 9, Stephen Chantal and Jacob Swiderski, followed by Tomek Bartosic and Ray Griffion rounding out the top 20.
And it's a 25-car field here today. Johnny Waters, Josh Clogg, and then you've got yourself Michael Farbrak and Rafael Franco. Rounding out the field is John Pat Kelly. A 141.1 was by no means a representative lap time, but it is a lap time, and it puts him at the back of the grid here today. So short-ish run down the hill towards the 90, turn number 1, and that very, very difficult section up through the S's, which makes life difficult. Track temp today is 37 degrees, so it's very, very warm. It's not blisteringly hot, but it's warm, and that's going to be a little bit of a trouble for a couple of drivers here today, and it might just mean that those soft tyres are just going to degrade a little bit quicker than they would do otherwise. So keep an eye out on that tyre strategy, see how that one is going to play. Ugolotti has control of the field at the front, but the likes of Javi Rose will be definitely searching for all of the points that are available here today. In terms of lap distance, this is going to be a 37-lap race, and this, most importantly, is going to be a run on SimSpeed TV that starts right now. And you can see already there Volstra moving to the middle of the track. Ugolotti's got a great start as they launch down into the 90 for the very first time. You can use all of that exit curb there as you get on through. Looks like we're all nice and clean for the time being. One spinner in the background there, right at the very end, all on his own, just about saved it, but up through the S's here.
No.
It's not a huge one. Oh, no. 5, 6 vehicles all in trouble here at the S's. We thought it would happen. It just has, Cam.
Yeah, it certainly has gone off, and it's not gone well at all, especially for the likes of a few of the drivers, and one of them being Dan Buffton, who got absolutely sent into the air.
Well, we're just catching this one here up the hill. It's already happened in front, and look at this. There's nowhere to go, and you pretty much drive and pray through that section, hoping you're not going to run into troubles. They were still crashing right up the top. There was the spinner a little bit further down. We're going to look on board here from Jacobs Federski's perspective of this, and he's just going to see smoke in front of him. Now, which way do you go? One gets up caught in the catch fence, and then all of a sudden, he's just shuttled into an alley with nowhere to go.
Yeah, he nearly found the hole, but didn't quite in the end, unfortunately. It was all just caused by the slightest bit of contact as well with Klaus Semitz and Dan Buffton as well on the way up the S's. And then from there, it just pretty much turned into an absolute mess of a time at the top of the S's for everyone involved. So not the most ideal start for a number of these drivers, and certainly not the one that a few of them will have hoped for.
And of course, with that massive accident, it's now going to bring a whole lot of drivers, maybe a lap down or more, out of this race, which is not part of the plan. Here is, though, Javi Rose looking to try and attack John Miller III. He won't have DRS until the third lap here, so he's got to do this one on pure draft alone, and he has been unable to close on in this time by to make things happen. Ugolotti is clear by almost a second already here at the start of this race, which is exactly what he's wanted here off of this start. Just get away, break DRS, and then focus on the own race. And at this stage, those drivers at the front of the field, they really don't have much to worry about. They've relatively stayed the same. It's everyone back in the middle of the pack who's really gained, the likes of the Kent Nielsens and the Thomas Bartosiches, and Johnny Waters up 6 places off the start.
Yeah, certainly. That crash at the start has really mixed up this field a little bit, in that mid-pack especially. I mean, you got Bartosik and Chantal up 5 and 6 places, so really is some beneficiaries after that jump, but certainly not the way that they probably would have hoped to have gained them anyway.
Exactly, but now it's all about the battle, and all of the championship contenders, Rose, Kaiser, Volstra, and Wood, are positions 3, 4, 5, and 6 at the moment. Ugolotti, fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:18.1 into the 90. Now, Tom Volstra is definitely eyes on for this. He loves having a very slick car and one that has very little drag on it, and he is definitely going to look to try and attack here up the hill through the right, and then DRS should be in his favor as he goes up through and looks to try and follow in the lines. They're all going to be running the same line here, so everyone getting the same amount of draft. Nobody able to really capitalize then in towards the carousel, and that's the one issue right now, is that Javi Rose is being held up by John Miller, who's being held, it's holding Michi Kaiser up, it's holding Volstra up, and effectively the chain reaction goes all the way down as Cedric Beale here has Luke Dowding for company.
Yeah, certainly. It's all on just slightly further back, just inside the top 10 as well, between Beale and Dowding. And Dowding nearly had a move at the carousel lined up, but couldn't quite get there in the end, like you said, with everybody else sort of having each other's draft to work with. So really is trying to work his way on by Beale, but Beale seems to just have ever so slight advantage on the exit of the corners at the moment. So he'll still have to try and work hard, but he can't rest because he's got Kent Nielsen for company just behind as well, Stephen Chantal.
Exactly. Now, this is going to be key as well. We've got to talk strategy here. We're only on lap 3, but we're expecting maybe lap 15 being an early lap, that those on the soft compound, the red wall tyre, will be coming in and making their stop, and hoping that's the right call as they go on the brakes into the 90. Again, Ugolotti even quicker, 17.6 that last time by, which was a half a second quicker than his first lap. He's already 3 seconds away down the road and absolutely flying. But here we go, everyone making that charge and that run towards that fabled carousel corner, and at the moment it seems like nobody has got themselves enough of a run to really give themselves an attack.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Everybody seems to be in, I guess, a bit of a position that they're slightly too far back to actually get any sort of advantage out of DRS, which is a little bit odd, but it's kind of one of those things, I guess, where when it's this far spread out and you've got to deal with so much aero push, that it really is causing some problems for those at the end of the straight. And at 333 kilometers an hour, pretty much maximum, you're really not being able to do much when the other guy in front of you is probably doing the exact same speed.
When they are starting to bottleneck up, and here comes the move from Luke Dowding, almost there at turn 9. Not a traditional place, the off-camber 9, to go out there and make that move as the camera shakes about so much from these vehicles being aggressive through this section, but that was a real opportunity for Downing if he had the commitment to lunge one up the inside. But you have to be confident on the brakes at that sort of corner to make something happen as we go down the hill again in towards turn 1. But look at Javi Rose this time. He's got a really good chance here to attack John Miller III. He's within 0.3 of a second, a quarter of a second almost now. And look at how DRS is going to play a factor here. Moves to the inside to defend as John Miller III. But again, he's got enough of a run here to stop Javi Rose having a lunge.
Yes, certainly. It was just enough of a run, and you can see the difference that they had at the bottom of the S's, and then it closed up that much as it has by the time they got to the carousel. So he needs to be ever so slightly quicker, slightly closer, sorry, if he wants to get a move done. So we'll have to wait and see what he does. He's looking very, very strong, though, through the boot section, and it's very, very close at the moment. Probably could have a lunge if he tried, but he's really got to time this well.
And here's another battle, Johnny Waters and Josh Clogg having their little scrap at this stage. Miller and Rose, though, second and third, and this is really hurting the race of Javi Rose. He's already now 4.4 seconds off of the back of Matteo Ugolotti, and John Miller III qualified incredibly well. Questions about whether he's as quick as these drivers, but he is holding up Javi Rose, the championship leader here, as they cross the line for their 6th lap on circuit. This is the bit where it starts to hurt. But again, great run this time, much better from Javi Rose. But how difficult are these Essex sections going to be to follow in behind? Wonderful work by Javi Rose. He's really up underneath, and now he can just choose. He'll have to go the long way around, has DRS, and this is see you and bye, and that is position number 2, finally unlocked by Javi Rose, who'd been waiting age eternitum to make that happen. And now Luke Downing under pressure here, as he is under a threat from what is Kent Nielsen wanting to get around the outside, and he's not going to have any of that either.
Yeah, he's certainly not going to have any of it. He did actually get past the previous lap as well by Kent Nielsen, so he's regained the position that he lost on the previous lap, and is going to try and charge back up towards Biel and Augusto, but who knows whether he's going to be able to do that in rapid succession. But certainly Chantal is not out of this little fight as well, with the fact that he's not too far behind Nielsen.
And you also have to talk about this track being incredibly close with the Armco barriers here today, Cam. This has a street circuit feel to it. One small mistake is one race-ending mistake around this place.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's not got a lot of runoff, and the runoff is grass as well in some cases, so, or majority of the cases, so you really can't afford to make a mistake or drop a wheel off, because it's usually going to end in tears for you. So you really do have to make sure that you're hitting your marks and not running off the road, because the last thing you want to do is end up like half the field did on lap 1.
Absolutely, and it can happen just like that around this place as they look to charge up the hill. This is Stefan Chantal, the Canadian, as now Tom Volstra's got himself a really good opportunity to attack Michi Kaiser. Thinks about the inside, does so. Crucial move then for the fiercely forward man from Club Benelux. Volstra has jumped himself up into 4th place, and they're trying to close in on John Miller III.
Yeah, they certainly are trying to close on. And then Volstra with a very, very good move. Finally managed to get on by Javi Rose. Sorry, wrong car. Michi Kaiser. So we'll see what happens here and whether he's going to be able to pull away from Michi Kaiser and catch up to John Miller. But certainly isn't looking like it's going to be too hard of a task, with the fact that he is slightly quicker than John Miller as well. It was about 14th quicker that last time by was Volstra. So a bit in favour of Volstra, but who knows what's going to happen.
Who knows indeed. Renato Augusto now under pressure here. Luke Dowding has been definitely getting in and amongst it in the early 7-8 laps of this race, and will definitely want to be in and amongst a little bit more. Jumping up another position here. They come out of that fast final corner, looking to try and attack the run towards the 90 here, turn number 1. And this is exactly what these drivers want to see. Attacking opportunities. Cedric Beale, the cork in the bottle right now, as they will charge up the hill. Dowding knows he's got to get right up underneath, and he takes that little wider line as he tries to open up this turn 4 on track, which gives him the DRS. But here's where the equaliser comes into play. This is where things get awkward, as behind Chantal looks like he wants the move. Does Dowding have enough? Nope, he can't quite make the move, but I think Chantal just did on Kent Nielsen for 11th.
Yeah, it looks like the move was well and truly done well before they even got to the top of the S's. Well, just as they got to the top of the S's. So no DRS even involved, and he managed to get the job done before then. So easy pass for Chantal to make up another position and be on his way to try and catch up to Dowding, who's now all over the back of Ronaldo Augusto here.
Exactly here. Look at this. He's trying every which way to look and search and harry and find the place, and he's just not able to at this moment in time. Trying to maybe look through the next left. It was a much wider line by Reynaldo Augusto, who is struggling there at that off-camber corner, but is able to gather it up in such a way on the exit that he's able to cover that move off. And Luke Dowding knows that he's absolutely stuck unless Cedric Peel breaks away to the tune of a second. That's the way this race is looking at the moment. So the next question becomes, for those who are thinking about this and are thinking about being stuck in the train right now, when's the right time to come in early on that stop? Maybe switch to the yellow walled tyre.
Yeah, it's certainly a very big head scratcher. And then again, you're going to lose that draft as well. So it's one of those things where, do you pit early and get fresh tyres, or do you try and just hang it out there and sort of work with the draft a little bit better to try and move yourself up the order? It's one of those questions that you really can't really answer unless you've actually tried it. So we'll see what happens and see who tries an alternate strategy of pitting early and losing that draft and using those fresh tyres to try and move up the order a little bit more. But it's going to be a real battle at this stage with the way that the iRacing deployment is working, and that it's not really giving some guys advantages.
6 drivers were out in the opening lap of this race. Jacob Swiderski, Ray Griffioen, Nathan Parkinson, Dan Buffton, Connor Harrington, and Klaus Siemetz all finding themselves in a retirement position in the early goings. In terms of the biggest mover and shaker in the field, the driver who has gained the most places overall, that at the moment is a tie between Rafael Franco and John Pat Kelly, both of whom are up 7 places at this moment. Dowding has finally got his move done on Reynaldo Augusto. He's now up into the 9th place. Now is Luke Dowding, and Reynaldo Augusto knows he is looking backwards, and backwards. That was the other place you can go and make a move at. The heel of the boot, a very underrated place to make a pass. So underrated that it was the one where Hutu and de Jong had their big scrap in the World Championship Grand Prix Series 2 years ago.
Yeah, certainly, and it was a very, very big scrap, and one that a lot of people within the community will remember from the fact that those two went toe-to-toe around this sort of track, and we all know Hutu's the man around Watkins, Glen, and is undefeated, so to manage to have gone up against him, it was an absolute surprise, and one that really was a really, really good battle to watch in the end.
Certainly was, but this is also a really good battle as now Reynaldo Augusto finds himself with Chantal, the Canadian here, who definitely wants to try and find a move, but nope, not going to have that at the heel of the boot this time, so he'll have to just sit and play that waiting game a little bit longer in terms of trying to work this one out. So longer that they wait, the longer that they're going to be in this position of a holding pattern. It's almost like you're waiting for a bit of blue litmus paper or the blue touch paper to be lit to give something to happen. Harrison Bingham right on the back of this one, just hoping Bartosic falls off the back so that he gets an opportunity to attack.
Yeah, certainly. He's hoping to attack, and he's looking like he's probably going to be close enough to get a move up the S's at this time by, and with DRS as well. He's going to be reasonably close, although we'll have to see what happens here. Closing and closing and closing, trying to break the draft is Bartosic, but just can't quite do it right enough, and Bingham closing, but not quite going to be able to get the move done before the carousel.
Nope, not going to get close enough this time, and that's going to be frustrating. Now, Michi Kaiser is going a little bit backwards here. He's fallen backwards into the clutches of Matt Wood, who needs a good performance here today to keep himself up. It's been his European time zones splits and strengths of fields, which he's really been picking up the results from so far in this season, and that's not a healthy way to go and hold on to a championship battle, mainly because you get less points over that.
Yes, certainly. And in that sort of situation, you can't really afford to not get points with how close this championship has been, and especially with the position he's in. So really does need some very, very good point scores here, and needs one today as well to try and keep those championship hopes alive.
Exactly, and he knows that he's got to try and get by Michi Kaiser as soon as possible. Runs slightly wide, though, and we'll have to be careful about that grass on the exit. You pick up off-track instant points for grabbing onto it, and then you can deal with the fact that you have to try and stay within range and not have yourself any sort of mistakes out there. That's another reason why you don't want to be there. But look at that from Michi Kaiser. I think he just lifted off and let Matt Wood go.
Yeah, it didn't look like that way, that he just sort of let him breeze on by rather than try and fight the position, which is a little bit strange considering he has some reasonable pace.
You hit the limiter 317 on the straight, and then you just had Matt Wood gallivanting in at 345, making the move past him. That's insane.
Yeah, it truly is insane. Oh, looking at it, there is actually some ERS deployment going on for Matt Wood rather than Mishi Kaiser, who is actually conserving. So it does appear that the ERS deployment is sort of helping Matt Wood in the strategy. That he might just be conserving it a little bit better than what Mishi Kaiser is at the moment, who's still actually conserving it at the moment.
Certainly is, and I think he's being a little bit more pedestrian with the way that he's trying to keep himself in range. Someone who's back in range, though, is John Miller III. He's clung right back onto the back of Javi Rose, and that is not the news that Javi was wanting here. Has been unable to pull away, and it looks like here today that John Miller III came to race and came to race aggressively. Quarter of a tenth of a second on the straight he goes, and this is going to be plain sailing. Oh, Javi's trying to cover it off. He gives him just enough room to go to the inside of the carousel, but he's going to fight this one the long way around. He's got the inside for the shoot, though, that will come up the Alexei Usiakala corner, but he's not in position. John Miller III is back in second.
Yeah, certainly back in the second place at this stage for the time being. How long it's going to be lasting is anyone's guess, but Gross running a little bit wide on the exit of the boot, so not going to be what he wanted, but Walter's going to be in a battle with Bartosik here. He's going to send it up the inside and gain back into 14th place. And I believe these two have actually pitted, so no, they haven't actually, so a little bit down the order, but certainly still fighting it hard.
Yeah, that's Josh Clogg, who's just lost the place there. So Johnny Waters making his way back into 15th place, lap 13 of 37. The halfway stage here in this race is lap 18, there or thereabouts, lap 18 and a half. That's going to be the magic number that everyone hopes to get through. There aren't many corners on this track, but you also, there actually goes Josh Clogg for a little bit of an oopsie daisy. There goes 2 seconds in the blink of an eye. But it is very, very easy here today to look at this and try and point out lap 18, lap 19, come down in, another set, gets on going. Johnny Waters out there on the medium compound yellow wall tyres. He's trying to make something happen as Chantal is the first taker on the lane today.
Yeah, so we got our first stop after about 14 laps of racing. Still about 23 to go. So Chantal trying the alternate strategy as well as Josh Clogg as well. So we'll see what happens here and whether it's going to be paying off for them or not.
Well, Chantal has gone back out onto a set of these soft compound tyres. So this is an undercut, and it's looking like today is very, very definitely going to be in the realms of soft, the best way forward. Look at Volstra now, all of a sudden. He's got himself with eyes on Javi Rose, who has been unable to stay with John Miller III. Looks like he's been using his tyres up far too much too early, and all of a sudden he's falling backwards into the fiercely forward driver. This is not the area that he wants to be in. He tags the wall on the exit of the final corner. Volstra straight to the inside and picks that up through. Is there any damage now for one Mr. Javi Rose? He tried to fight it into the 90. He's got nothing, and suddenly Matt Wood wants to pounce.
Yes, Rose really struggling over these last few laps at the moment. Not quite sure what's going on, whether he's got possibly some under-trade damage or whether the tyres are just starting to give up, but certainly is going to be coming under a lot of pressure from Matt Wood, who's just absolutely charging with DRS wide open, but not going to be able to make a move and just decides to sit in behind. On Rose wide again.
Mistake. Wiggle through the carousel, and Matt Wood will pick it up on exit. That's why you need a balanced car here today, and Javi Rose is really struggling, and he's had these issues in a couple of these races, and all of a sudden he's gone from second, and in the space of about 2 laps, he's down to 5th. Harrison Bingham has come in and made his stop. He's back out and away in 15th place, but now you start to see here Javi Rose paying the price early for things going awry, and Mishi Kaiser has come in and out of the pits as well. He's in 11th right now. Mishi is trying to undercut his way back into relevancy.
Yeah, he certainly is, and with those fresh tyres, he's really going to be gaining some advantage as well. If Rose doesn't pit this time by, I'm going to be very, very amazed, because he seems to be really struggling. So, and he does decide to come down as well as Volstra and Farbacker and Ugolotti.
He took the cone with him. He almost hit the wall there as he tried to slam on the brakes and lock it up. Volstra's also come down in. So the race leader then, Matteo Ugolotti, dives into the pit. They'll be right down at the bottom end. And look at that. Ugolotti's already out and away. That's how far ahead he has been. The cone has been kicked all the way down the pit. And the question now is, where on earth do they come out in comparison to Mishi Kaiser? And the answer is very, very clear here at this stage. It's behind, and Javi Rose has had a very, very long stop to go alongside with that. So he's going to be way down the order here at this stage. In fact, he is still in the box, and I wonder if he's been caught speeding on the lane with how aggressive he was trying to break into the pit.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably been caught speeding. He did get a front wing change as well as Tom Volscher, which was a little bit interesting. So he did actually hit the wall on the way into pit entry, or possibly that cone did cause some damage, but he certainly looked like he was speeding on the way into the lane. So his race well and truly, I guess, done at this stage. So unfortunately, that's going to be a big points loss for Javi Rose.
He wants to go. He's got the engine revving, and finally he gets the NWS car away and out of the pits. He's almost a whole lap behind John Miller III, who's actually just dived down into the pits. Matt Wood then takes control of the race lead, as in also comes Daniel Bieder, who was just behind Cedric Beal. So those are more drivers who are coming down in and making those stops. But crucially, Kaiser ahead of Tom Volscher by 1.3 seconds at the moment. Where does John Miller come out in all of this?
Yeah, certainly. A very, very quick stop there, and clean stop as well for John Miller. This is going to be very, very interesting. Comes out ahead of both of them, and it's going to be a drag race up the east, as Kaiser's probably going to have the advantage of terminal velocity on his side as well as DRS, but it's going to be very, very close, and Kaiser's going to go into conservation mode. Both of them are actually. DRS wide open. Kaiser's going to look to the outside drag race down towards the carousel. Who's going to be the biggest on the way in? It's going to be in favor of Miller, though.
Miller doing very, very well, but it's about pickup off exit for Kaiser, who can't quite get there. And all of that battling, it's very much a welcome light for Tom Volscher. He moves inside of 1 second here and puts himself in DRS range on lap 17 of 37. All of a sudden, Kaiser is searching every which way now to get a good run and to set up an opportunity to attack. But again, he is not in the best place to make that happen just yet. And now this becomes a case of trying to keep yourself in range. That undercut is not going to be helping someone like Mishi Kaiser. Now, this is where it goes wrong. Race leader Matt Wood comes in. Cedric Beal leads laps.
Yeah, we'll see where Matt Wood comes out in all of this. Just coming down onto his box now, stops in the box, and then just coming through the final corner now across the line. So it's just going to come out behind Volscher here. So a little bit too far behind to make taking advantage of DRS or anything, but it's certainly all on at the front of the field between Kaiser and Miller, though, who are going to go toe-to-toe once again on the way down towards the carousel.
We certainly are, and we're going to watch this again. Here comes Mishi, hoping that he can have a regal overtake over John Miller. But Miller has just got him absolutely down, pat, and beat in terms of setup. I think Mishi Kaiser set this one up for medium downforce to attack those high-speed corners here today, and he's just got nothing on the straight to go and get by anyone.
And it didn't help that halfway down the straight, the RAS deployment decided it wanted to go into conservation mode as well. So not exactly what he will have wanted, as he probably had that move set up well and truly and was going to get it done. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be in the end. So he's going to have to try again in another lap. But Volscher's not too far off the back of this as well. So if these two start fighting hard or coming together, then Volscher's going to be right there to take advantage.
And that is the key. It's all about the advantage here that everyone is trying to get to. And for everyone who is watching, this is now the time where drivers need to start thinking about the long game in this second and final stint. If you can't get anything working right now, you need that magic to come in and really change the way this is going. In comes Cedric Beal to make his stop. He gives the race lead back to Matteo Ugolotti, who's 8.4 seconds clear of the chasing pack at this stage. But we do have a couple of drivers who have done so well over those stops. Stefan Chantal, remember, was one of the first takers into the pits. He has jumped almost everybody now up into 6th place.
Yeah, certainly a very, very good pit strategy there to end up getting to where he is, and he can really make it happen. But he's on through is Mishi Kaiser. Finally, he tried a lap before, and he's finally managed to do it this time by, and did it well before they even got to the carousel. So in the 2nd place he is, but John Miller is on fresher tyres, remember, so he's going to be probably in a slightly better position.
Well, he's probably going to be trying to wait for the cliff to come about. That might be the only quantum of solace that we see here for John Miller III, hoping that Michi Kaiser's tyres hit the cliff just a bit earlier. Tom Volstra is there, and he's looking to try and get in to third, maybe second position, pick up some big points here today, because Javi Rose is down in 18th place at the moment after a long stop with a front wing change and a penalty to hold for 15 seconds for speeding on the lane. This is going to be all about good runs out of this corner. You can't afford Michi Kaiser to go away early, but again, wide goes one Mr. John Miller III, and here comes Volstra with a real chance.
Yeah, certainly is a real chance. That was very close to the wall for John Miller there on the way at the top of it. The S's, and Volstra is unfortunately going to hit a bit of a cliff between himself and John Miller. Unfortunately, not quite able to get the job done this time by, but they've closed in ever so slightly on Michi Kaiser again.
Yeah, he's closing and closing, but again, it's not enough at this stage for Volstra to get what he wants. We just saw Luke Dowding getting past Johnny Waters there. That was for position number 8. Waters still yet to come down in and make a stop. Here is Javi Rose on Rafael Franco trying to pick up this move. Is he going to wait for turn 4 and then the run up there? I think he is, and I think patience is going to be the better part of valor right now for Javi Rose.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be that sort of thing for Javi Rose, and he's really just got to try and work his way up the order and try and score as many points possible. He's got a lot of work to do to try and catch up to those ahead of him, but he's still got a decent amount of time. So if he can close up the gap and just get a few positions under his belt, he won't have so much of a loss and could have been so much worse.
It definitely could have been a whole lot worse. He also has about 130 points in the bank this week from earlier splits, which he didn't manage to get a win in that. So he's got those points that he can maybe lean on into. But look at Volstra here. Another great run up the hill. This time he will go to the inside, try and pick this one up on the draft, on the slipstream, and he has got himself through onto the podium. Tom Volstra at a track which really does suit the Volstra style of driving is looking well. Now here's another one, Harrison Bingham getting himself through then on Johnny Waters. He's trying to make this one happen, but Cedric Beale is doing enough to make sure, no, you're going to stay in line here and wait. Johnny Waters is proving to be a tricky customer to get by on those yellow-walled medium tyres. Runs wide, though, through the exit. And Harrington there is trying to... Harrison here is definitely trying to go around the outside of the chute. Oh, he's got the inside for the toe. This could be a really good move if he can pick this one up nicely. And I think, yes, we know what a move that is.
Yeah, certainly what a move that was indeed, and it's not going to be over just yet as well, as Kent Nielsen's going to try and look, but not quite going to fire it up the inside of Waters just yet, so he's going to sit in behind, but he certainly is going to have the advantage of what looks to be a slightly better conditioned front wing.
Well, it definitely looks a bit mangled at this stage, that front wing, so he'll be definitely searching for a new one if he does come down in and make that pit stop, and this is a great run off the exit then from one Mr. Kent Nielsen. He played that one to a T down at the inside on the 90. He's not going to get DRS up the hill, but what he does have is the move, pass scored and complete.
Yeah, certainly it did manage to get that one done in the end, but at the moment at the front of the field, it's still very, very close between Kaiser and Volstra. Miller's dropped off the back of these two quite a bit, so possibly just starting to struggle with some tyre wear a bit. Matt Wood's not too far behind Miller as well, a lot quicker as well that last time by, an 18.7 for Wood, well, meanwhile a 19.4 for Miller, so it's really quite a pace differential at the moment, and possibly Miller starting to struggle with a bit of tyre wear here.
Yeah, John Miller has definitely not got the same pace, but we saw this early on. He got about 7-8 laps in. He couldn't get anything out of the car. Then it started to come back to him, and he looked okay. I think he's hitting that cycle again where when he gets to about 7-8 laps into a stint here, Cam, he's really just not finding the nice part of the tyre, and he's just having to deal with a little bit of wear issues.
Yeah, certainly. It's probably hit that sort of point where it just starts to drop off and lose its edge, I guess, in terms of the tyre, and then eventually it sort of plateaus and he's right back in his comfort zone. So a little bit of an interesting way that he's probably set that car up to handle the tyres, and probably an interesting way that he's actually done, well, able to drive the car in terms of what's happening. But it's on, and Volstra's managed to fly on by Michi Kaiser and get back into second.
God, that was supersonic speed, the way that Tom Volstra blitzed on by Mishi Kaiser. Nothing you can do in that sort of situation. That was brilliantly done. And Tom Volstra now is capitalizing as much as he can in this race into second position. He goes. Now, here is Thomas Bartosic under pressure here. This is Johnny Waters wanting to come back at him here and get that position made, but he's not having any of that. Bartosic had already made the move, and now Reynaldo Augusto wants in and wants to find a way by, and he's not having any of that, and he's stuck against two medium compound drivers on the soft. Switch across to the inside then at the toe of the boot. Is there enough room? No, there's contact, and just about managing to save him. He tipped him. He's effectively done the saved your life moment, and he's still got the move done.
Yeah, he certainly has got the move done, but Bingham is in the wall, unfortunately. Lost it all on his own as well.
Oh, that's a real shame for Harrison Bingham, and hopefully we will catch a motion simulation replay of how that one all came about for him. As you can see, he's going through the toe of the boot. He's okay there, but we'll have a look to the heel and see whether it was here where all the dramas started to unfold. He goes through the right-hand corner. Does he just grab grass on the exit? Yep, and he snaps it away and bang hard into the wall. Harrison Bingham's day comes to a very, very disappointing end.
Yeah, it certainly does come to a bit of a disappointing end, and he was going so well as well up until that point, so not going to be the finish that he will have hoped for at all.
Absolutely not. Luke Dowding, though, has found the experienced head that is Daniel Bieder and will definitely want to try and get on through and gain that place as quickly as possible. That would put him up into 7th place. And then the focus from Luke Dowding, you would think here, Cam, is to attack a Stefan Chantal, whose tyres are probably going to be hitting the cliff first.
Yes, certainly, and if he can look after his tyres, he might be okay, but certainly is going to need to look after them, and the fact that we've got so many more laps left in this race, it really is going to be a matter of looking after them and making sure you can get them to the end and be nice and fresh so you can fight.
Does need to fight and fight well here in this one. We've also got to keep an eye on Javi Rossi. He is very soon going to be attacking. In fact, he is now through up into 13th position here in this race, getting by Josh Clogg, who I think's just made a mistake. But now it's about here, this run that Luke Dowding's trying to get on the Israeli driver, Daniel Bieder. Has he got any opportunities to go and make this move? Has he got the chance? Well, it's defended early here by Bieder. He showed his hand quick. Dowding going straight to the outside, and sometimes there is no way to stop this move happening with DRS around the outside. Gets it done before the apex.
Yeah, very, very good move by Dowding to get the job done, and was well and truly before they even got to what would be normally the bus stop chicane. So very, very good move there by Dowding, and he's pulled quite a nice gap as well.
Now keep an eye on Mishi Kaiser. He's dropped to 9/10 behind Tom Volstra, and suddenly John Miller III is back within half a second's range. He is certainly starting to put the wrench back in and trying to attack the bolts once again. Mishi Kaiser knows that he's going to be struggling later on here in this race, and Matt Wood, mind you, is only there 9/10 of a second back for the first time. The Club UK&I driver is going to be getting that DRS.
Yeah, he certainly is going to be getting that DRS this time by, and he's going to not quite... Well, he's going to want to use it as best as he can, but certainly Matt Wood's going to be still hunting hard, and it's still not on. Still anyone's guess as to who's going to come away with the podium here, because they're so close together, and it's just going to be a matter of one mistake, and that's it.
One mistake makes all the difference, but at the moment, Mishi Kaiser is just proving enough foil for Matt Wood's charge as he wants to try and get back as soon as possible. He's having to use the middle sector here to really close that gap down and use those tyres as much as possible. Miller gets a great run out of the toe of the boot and is looking towards the heel with an opportunity, but no, he's not going to be there just yet. He's looking to try and be someone who is really effective, really quick around this place, and this is a place which really does reward untapped potential.
Yeah, it certainly does, and being able to be committed around here is one of those very, very important things, with there being so many high-speed corners and so many corners that reward commitment as well. So really is a matter of using all the track to your advantage and being able to throw the car into the corner and having that confidence as well to throw it into the corner and get back on the power as early as you possibly can. So it's one of those things about this track where it does reward the ability to really throw your car around and use that commitment to your advantage.
And, well, you can see up the hill once again. They'll have 10 laps to go when they cross the line. Matteo Ugolotti leads this race by 10.6 seconds here at the front. He is controlling the race right now, and nobody in a month of Sundays is looking like they are going to get close enough to really go and attack. You can see here as we go from the driver's eye perspective here, as he looks to attack the heel of the boot. It's just so smooth right now what he's dealing with. He's got no issues at all right now in this race.
Yeah, he's got absolutely no issues at all at the moment. Just nice clean air in front of him, and nice clean sailing as well. Putting in some nice, very, very good laps as well, with low 18s currently on the board. So very, very good pace at the moment does Ugolotti have, and compared to everybody else, it's incredibly quick. So it's just a matter of pretty much putting in the laps to get home here.
I've noticed as well, Ugolotti's on the medium compound tyre as well, so that tells you all you need to know. Everyone else behind him is on the soft and still can't catch him.
Yeah, it's actually a very, very good point you raised there. So clearly Ugolotti's got some very, very good pace in that car at the moment. He's just weaving on the way down the back straight.
Oh, well, someone's given him the information that, okay, they're on board with you on camera, give them some fun. And Matteo Ugolotti is absolutely flying at this moment in time. Chantal, though, look at Chantal's times over the last couple of laps. He is starting to really hit that level where he's not comfortable. His last 3 lap times, let's get them for you. He's done 19.1, 19.4, 19.7. Dowding, in comparison, 18.2 is fastest of the race so far, 18.7, 19.1. That is Dowding closing down at least 0.6 a lap.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be closing that gap down very, very rapidly, especially with that sort of differential. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what Dowding can do from here. Probably not quite going to be close enough to get a top 5, but certainly going to be on with a possible shot of getting to Chantal, and Chantal's run a little bit wider as well, so that's going to have helped him massively.
Absolutely here, and you can see from Chantal, there is Dowding. That's another mistake, and see you bye. There goes one, and here comes Daniel Bieder, hoping for a chance to go through. Won't get it just yet into turn 10. It's such a tough corner to make a move at turn 10. But all of a sudden, it will be Bieder and Beal who will both want in, and Beal's got a great run, and Chantal here has so much used that tyre up that he's going for a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, so the only person so far to do a 2-stop strategy, so we'll see what happens here, but certainly Matt Wood is going to be going around the outside. Oh, no!
And there goes Matt Wood, hard into the wall and out of this race, just like that. 3 wide was always going to be dangerous into that corner, and Matt Wood surely has just lost his championship effort. Catch it on the Motum replay, why don't we? Because that was all about trying to find a lane, and 3 into 2, that does not work on the outside.
Yeah, not especially when that sort of thing happens, and John Miller nearly had it up the inside, got a little bit loose on the way to try and send it up the inside of Michi Kaiser, a little bit of netcode as well, unfortunately, and then Matt Wood being on the outside with a sliding car towards him, unfortunately came off second best and nearly actually completely rolled the car in the process as well.
Well, you can see how angry he is. In-game chat, he lets the expletives be known here in terms of that one. It's a heavy shunt, and that's one of the reasons why we don't see this sort of circuit here, Cam, especially with this sort of layout running FIA sanctioned events for Formula One.
Yeah, certainly is. It's one of those things about this track where it's a little bit debatable as to whether you'd put it on an F1 calendar, but certainly that would make it very, very interesting, and that is one of those things where there's a lack of runoff, and the lack of room as well really does make it a little bit too dangerous for these cars in some respects.
Here's Johnny Waters. He has just lost the place, or he's actually trying to gain it back here on Josh Clogg. He's got the freshest tyres of anybody here. He's on the soft compound, trying to go the long way around turn 9. And you know what? He's going to get rewarded for that. That's a wonderful move.
Yeah, very, very good move there by Johnny Waters to go around the outside on those much softer tyres and probably fresher tyres as well. So he's just absolutely blistered away from Josh Clogg and Franco. But we'll see what Franco can do and whether he can get a move done here on Josh Clogg or not.
Well, that's going to be one thing. There's lots of battles in this field right now as Josh Clogg under pressure here. He's on the yellow-walled mediums against the red-walled soft that you see that Rafael Franco is running here. He wants to try and get on by pretty quickly as the fiercely forward driver is under pressure. Is this going to be an easy pass? The answer's no. The waiting game will continue. But now, how does this factor into this sort of race? Javier Rosa is now up into 12th place here in this one, and there is the contact. Both of them into the wall. That might just be Clogg's race over, and Rafael Franco will be very sheepish after that one.
Yeah, he certainly was a little bit, yeah, really was all on Franco there. He just broke a little bit too late and unfortunately ran into the back. And I'd say it's probably going to be a fair assumption that Clogg's race is well and truly over with the fact that he did a barrel roll and hit that wall very, very hard indeed.
It's very rare that you do see these sorts of vehicles get back going again after that sort of hit. Daniel Bieder, though, has lost the place to Cedric Beal, who is now up into 6th place in this race. So the Israeli driver knows he's got work to do. Bolstra, though, is not safe here in this one. John Miller III brings the gap down to about 0.8 of a second here. And in the final 6 laps, this is going to be a tall order. Remember, Miller's got fresher tyres here than Bolstra.
Yeah, he certainly does have fresher tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here between these two and whether Miller's going to be able to use those fresher tyres to his advantage or not. But it has a slight pace advantage last time by compared to him. So it's going to be very, very interesting and very, very close, I reckon.
It's going to be close. You can see it's 0.6 of a second, and it's another 10th there through the opening section of the lap. John Miller III is absolutely charging through these S's sections, and I think he's got himself the absolutely perfect run that he's been searching for. You can see already it was half defended there by Tom Bolstra. Leaves the door open there at the inside. He takes the big wide line. He's going to struggle there with the marbles on the outside, which iRacing simulates through the dynamic track. Defends the inside then at the chute. And that there would have been the first real scare we've seen Tom Bolstra have late on in this race.
Yeah, certainly, and he's going to try everything he possibly can, will Tom Bolstra, to try and get some nice solid points here, especially with the way that this championship is looking. Javi Rose down the order, and as well as Michi Kaiser behind him and a few others all having problems. So he's really going to need to try and finish in second here. Yes, he can.
So Javier Rose has made a second stop, and that's why he's now down in 15th place behind John Pat Kelly and Rafael Franco out there on track. So he's struggling. Bartosic and Reynaldo Augusto, though, this is 9th and 10th position here, split by just 8-10.
There's absolutely nothing in it at the moment between these two, and they've been going at it pretty much all race. Bartosic has done pretty well to end up in a top 10 after starting in at P19 as well. So he's doing it right for himself at this stage. Not so much... Well, not so good for Renato Augusto, though, starting in P5 and dropping 9th, but certainly is doing everything he can at the moment, and Bartosic's trying to line this one up as well to try and find a way on by, but being on the medium tyres is probably going to have its disadvantages.
And another side-by-side moment then going through, and look at this, it's an up and under attempt by John Miller. Has he got enough of a run here for the shoot? Again, defended on the inside by one Mr. Tom Bolstra, and again, just about covers off exactly what's needed. John Miller III is prodding and probing, and that's a mistake there by Bolstra. He's got to really gather it up the hill. Draft will come back in for John Miller III, but he's not got enough of a run here to really tackle. Does he? Yes, he does lunge at the heel of the boot, and suddenly there, running slightly wide, that is the move done, and Miller III has got himself exactly what he wants, second place.
Certainly, Bolstra was left to hang out to dry there by John Miller, who just absolutely sent it up the inside and left Bolstra with no option but to back out. So Bolstra loses another position here, and Miller back into second place. So we'll see whether Bolstra's going to be able to hold on here for a podium, or whether Michi Kaiser is going to be the dark horse and come along and be the spoiler in the party.
Well, Michi Kaiser is already 3 seconds adrift, and he's struggling with tyres, and I think this is the key. All about tyre conservation. John Miller III, yes, he lost places early, not using up those tyres early on, but that gave him the life to go and attack late on in this race. Bartosic moves the gap down to about 3/4 of a second on the yellow walled mediums right now. And this was the big gamble that a lot of these drives were having. Do we use the soft or do we go soft medium when we know the medium is going to be maybe a slightly slower tyre? And the answer is, well, it's been very even between both.
Yeah, it's been very, very even between both tyre compounds, and the warm track, I guess, is probably helping that as well, with the fact that the softs are degrading quite quickly, but also the mediums are still holding their own quite well. So it's very, very even between the two of them. But Bartosic launching it up the inside of Ronaldo Augusto, going to have to try and hold it around the outside on the way down into the boot, but not quite going to be able to get it done, and Ronaldo Augusto will hold on for now.
Certainly will, and I also want to keep an eye on Cedric Beale, who's brought the gap to Luke Dowding back down under a second right now. What a drive Cedric's having.
He has been having a very, very good run as Cedric Beale. He started in P10. He's made up a few positions so far in this race, and he's starting to close back into Luke Dowding, and he's possibly going to be on for a top 5 here if he can keep this sort of pace up.
Just behind that as well, Daniel Bieder is under immense amounts of stress here from Kent Nielsen. The gap is about 1/10 of a second between those as they climb up the hill. You can see it right there, just at the bottom of your screen. That battle looks like that's going to produce an overtake as we focus on here. This one between 5th and 6th place here. The final spot in the top 5 up for grabs at this stage. There is Bartosic and Reynaldo Augusto in their scrap at this moment in time. It looks like Kent Nielsen did make that move then on Daniel Bieder, but here comes Bartosic, who's got a really good run up the hill, trying to pick this one up. Has the DRS to play with, and around the outside, no chance of stopping that one. Bartosic moves up into 9th.
Very, very good move there by Bartosic to finally get the move done the following lap, and he'll be on his way to try and pull away now to clinch this solid P9 here.
Doing so well here as Bartosic to make a good run of things today, but there are still those places. You can see Cedric Beale has brought the gap down to just 3/10 of a second, and he wants to go out there and gain that move, gain that place, and do so exactly the way that he knows he can. Javi Rose, just for thrills and spills, has just set the fastest lap of the race on a 1:17.4. Now that's an interesting lift there from Cedric Beale. He gives himself an extra 1/10 of a second to attack this corner, so he's not catching halfway up the S's section. This is really smart driving here by Cedric, who knows he wants to be in a range to attack Luke Dowding, gets the run through turn 4, and now watch this cam for a move straight to the inside with DRS, and this is going to be position made.
Yeah, very, very easy position made for Cedric Beale, and he'll blow on by into a top 5 position. So he'll be wrapped to get inside the top 5 now. Just needs to hold it and bring it on home with only 2 laps to go. Well, 1.5.
1.5, and it's been 1.5 laps left that he's able to break away. Maybe Kent Nielsen even could get into the mix here and pick up one on Luke Dowding very late in this one. At this moment in time, we are reaching those final stages, and the white flag lap will soon start, and actually just has, for Matteo Ugolotti. So this is going to be about Kent Nielsen here, who's really come on strong late in this race, quietly so. Chantal, who remembers, made 2 stops. He's trying to get past Reynaldo Augusto for a top 10 at the toe of the boot. Augusto runs wide, and Stefan Chantal bullies his way through up into the top 10. And I think he's just a bridge too far to attack Bartosic. But look at Nielsen. Look how all over Luke Dowding he is through the final corner. He may even get this move done into turn 1 if he really wanted to. Defended here by one driver. Nope, it's not defended. It's let go here by Luke Dowding. He knows when he's a beaten driver. And it looks like Chantal may have just lost the place back here to Reynaldo Augusto. And in fact, just has done late. So Chantal back now into what is going to be 11th place. And we'll have to do it all over again here on this final lap. But the crucial fact is he's within half a second. But look at this driver. He's had nothing to worry about all race long. He's been the epitome of consistency, calm, and he is speed every stage of the way. Through the final couple of corners comes the Italian who has come of age. Matteo Ugolotti is now a winner here in your iRacing Grand Prix series, and he did so at a canter at that.
Very, very dominant victory for Ugolotti, and an absolute perfect drive as well, with no mistakes, clean laps, fast laps as well, and he's managed to get it done in the end. So really, really good drive there by him. And Chantal's actually managed to get on by Augusto as well.
Yep, he's definitely made that move, and he made that move so very well. There is Tom Volstra third place, the best he can do with this one. And I think he will be happy that he's got some good points here, but it could have been slightly more. Michi Kaiser then, look how quickly Cedric Beale was closing late on in that one. He got right up to the back of Michi Kaiser to 1 second. He could have snatched fourth place away with an extra couple of laps here. Feeder across the line in 8th place. That really does show you, Cam, how badly those tyres hit the cliff late.
22.6 for Michi Kaiser that last time by in that last lap to 19.4 by Cedric Beale. So an absolute massive pace differential between those two on that last lap, and it could have very, very well gone in the favour of Beale if it had been slightly few more laps.
Exactly, there is Johnny Waters coming over the line, but we'll get you official classified results then. Here from Watkins, Glen, this is round 10 of the championship, not quite round 8, but Ugolotti picks up the win by 15 seconds over John Miller III, who had a really good but controversial drive after the incident between himself, Kaiser, and Wood. Bolstra will finish up in third and gain some real traction in the championship with Kaiser coming home in 4th position. Cedric Beale was chasing down late. He just ran out of time. He gets P5 with Kent Nielsen in 6th position and Luke Dowding there in 7th. Daniel Bieder gets 8th place with Thomas Bartosic in 9th. And it's Stefan Chantal who rounds out the top 10.
Augusta, unfortunately losing that final top 10 position on the last lap to Stephen Chantal. And then you can have Johnny Waters, John Pat Kelly, Rafael Franco, Javi Rose rounding out the field on that finish. And then you can have Farbecker, Clog, Wood, Bingham, Swiderski, Griffio, and Parkinson, Buffton, Harrington, and Simets rounding out the field and your DNFs.
25 drivers here today, and we only get 17 finishers. Far back finishes 2 laps down there. You can see them like to Griffio and Parkinson, Buffton, Harrington, and Seametz. They're all running themselves into troubles on lap 1 when the big one here at Watkins Glen fully came into view, and that was not exactly the result that those drivers at the bottom of the field were certainly hoping for. But it is crucial to note there's just 2 rounds remaining in this championship, and we'll be coming back to you next week from Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It is Interlagos for round 11, and as a track which works very well as an opener, this track you feel is effectively one of the great closers, Cam, for championships.
Certainly is one of the more famous ones to close a championship off, especially with what's happened there in the past. You look at the likes of 2008 with Lewis Hamilton's championship, and yep, it's anybody's guess as to whether we're going to see an exact replica of that or not here this year.
Well, the only way we're going to find that at the end of this year is if you stay with us at SimSpeed TV on YouTube. You can like, share, and subscribe. We're just over 6,000 subscribers now and looking to grow a little bit further. If you haven't already, this is the place where great sim racing happens. But massive thanks has to go today as we bring proceedings to a close to all of those who get it done for us. Of course, to Motum Simulations, who have been on the replays too. Of course, Mr. Scott Fountain, Fonty on the cameras for us today. From Cam Dance alongside me and myself, Jake Sperry. It is Matteo Ugolotti who gets the day in the sun that he has spent so long searching for. He'll be incredibly happy with a dominant drive. John Miller III as well had a really solid one today. But Javi Rose again here on a Saturday night runs into troubles, and this is why this championship is as wide open as it ever has been. Opportunity knocks, and it's going to be Interlagos where the door will be open next.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?